Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of A Place Where I Belong, uniquely free to be me. I'm your host, Koi Moshe, and this is episode 2. We have a special guest today, my girl, my
hey
friend.
y'all, what's up, my beautiful people? Oh my gosh, okay, I need to stop.
So this is my friend Iriah. For those who don't know, I'll drop her YouTube in the description. Please go subscribe to my girl, another faith-based content creator, and just here to spread the word of God. So why don't you give us a little introduction?
Oh my gosh! Yo, I wasn't expecting this. Who am I? Or
tell me a little bit about who you are, your testimony, how did you get here?
Okay. So, my YouTube name, if y'all, want to go subscribe, is Iriah Aiesha. That was the whole YouTube, but that was the unsaved me. So, this is the new version of me. God has changed my life in so many ways, and I'm just so grateful for that. A little bit about my testimony and how I got to this place. I was doing things that I have no business doing. I was smoking, drinking, out here doing some crazy stuff, in a homosexual relationship, and that's where God really snatched me up. When you doing stuff that you don't got no business doing, and like you scared that your mama or somebody gonna catch you. Mm-hmm. That's how it was with God. Like I knew He's seen everything that I was doing, and because I had a relationship with God, it just wasn't what it needed to be. But it was almost like he was, how somebody is just staring at you and you feel somebody staring at you. That's how it was. I felt God staring at me, and I felt Him pulling me, like He was pulling me to come closer to Him and say yes to Him. Yeah. And so when I finally said yes to Him and got out of the things that I was doing that I had no business doing, that's just when everything shifted, my walk, my talk, everything. Yeah. And so God is just doing amazing things in my life. Something like this friendship is one of the amazing things that He's doing in my life. And I'm just so grateful. Like all of my relationships is Christ-centered. It's not really like our foundation is God.
Very Christ. Very Jesus.
Other relationships foundation is different, but now that I am who I am with God, all of my relationships is of God. So I think that's just an amazing thing when you say yes to God. Everything in your life changes.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So I just wanted to start off, y'all, by saying that this is such a different thing for us. I think we should tell them how we met.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So, all right, y'all, buckle up, get in the back seat. We taking a ride, okay? So I've been living in the city I live in, Bloomington, Illinois, for about 7 years now. And I've always known who she was. Actually, we never really met, but we knew of each other. We had each other on social media. We worked in the same.
You didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I've been living here for 7 years, and I was following her on social media. I think we were following each other, but I guess she didn't know that.
Nope, sure didn't.
We worked in McDonald's, and her aunt was my manager. She was the GM of the McDonald's I worked in, and she used to always tell me about this niece. Yeah, you need to be my niece. Yeah, my niece, my TT baby working at McDonald's too. Is she a manager? And I'm like, okay.
Mind y'all, I used to be in McDonald's faithfully. Never seen her. Never.
At the times that I worked too. I used to work the morning shift.
Yeah, I used to be in there faithfully.
All the time. So it then took a turn where a year ago, April 21st, 2025, my girl then poof popped up. The church I go to, her mom and sister go to that church, and her dad T go to that church, and Yeah, why don't you take over? Because
Yeah.
you share your perspective from that day.
Yeah.
We'll do it like that. Yeah.
So I think that day, somebody was preaching. I think my mom was preaching, wasn't she?
Yes.
I think one of the people that I know was preaching, and I had came to listen to them preach, and my sister goes there, and we were sitting in this row, and then there was a row behind us, right? So I think from the time that I walked in, I realized her. You know, when you look at somebody and you like, I know that person, but at that time I'm like, no, I don't know her. I don't know her. So, anyways, I think whoever preached or whatever, and at the end of the sermon, her apostle was saying, if you have something to say, if God is placing something on your heart, get up and say it, come forth and say it. And y'all, I kid you not. Okay, so I had on this. Was it like a blue dress?
I think it was either blue or black.
It was this blue dress, okay? And undergarments. I had on my undergarment and it was like, I felt it rolling up. I'm like, if I get up, people gonna be able to see. I'm like, I am not getting up. I told my sister, I said, I have something to say. God is placing this on my heart, but I can't get up. She's like, why you can't get up? I was like, it's my stuff rolling up. So I was just like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And she was like, go. And I'm like, no.
And prior to that, y'all, she was looking over her shoulder the whole
service.
I was.
And I'm
like, what are you looking at? It's like, girl, pay attention to the words. Stop looking at me. Like, if you go look, say hey, at least. Not once, not twice,
I
not
did
three
my little
times.
You know that.
It wasn't once, twice, or three times. It was more than three times. More than three times.
Yeah. But I'm like, I'm not gonna say it. So my sister left me alone a little bit, and people was going up saying stuff, and so I'm just sitting there. And God was like, just go.
Not you got yelled at.
I got yelled. He yelled at me, and I'm like, oh. So I got up, shaking in my boots for what? I don't know, but shaking in my boots. Honestly, truthfully, this was the first time that I was obedient to God when He told me to do something. And I mean, I've done stuff before, but like clearly hearing His voice. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, I gotta go. I heard Him. I gotta go.
No hesitation.
So I was like, oh my gosh. I got up. Tay was like, she moved her stuff out the way so I could go. I was like, oh my gosh. So I got up and I said what I said, and that was let go. And I was looking at her. I don't know why.
Like dead staring.
I don't know why.
Locked in, like.
Yeah, but I was looking at her. And a few seconds after I started looking at her, God was like, yep. I was like, oh, it's her. Okay, let go. Like, no, and I was just like speaking. And honestly, truthfully, after I said that, those first whatever, because it was God. It was nothing but God. So I don't even remember exactly what I said. Yeah. But obviously it was what she needed. But after that, you had said something about like your modeling and stuff like that.
That was that day, and buy a ticket and all that. Yeah, that was it. Yep.
Yeah. And y'all, I ain't never a little bit about my testimony again. There was once upon a time where I was jobless for 4 months, and I had made a video on TikTok and it kind of blew up or whatever. And this lady had blessed me. I was late on my rent, I think a month. My car note was late. I was about to get that, taken away from me. But this lady blessed me with I think like $500, $600. And at that time, God told me to do the same thing for her.
And a lot of people that know us don't even know that part. They don't know anything about that interaction.
That is true.
So this is the first time we're actually talking about that specific
that is
part.
True.
That's something we've never told anybody. And it's not a secretive thing. It was a moment where God needed to do what He needed to do.
That's exactly what it was.
I'll tell you why that came, but I'm gonna let her finish.
Yeah, and I'm not that type of person because I've always been that person. Even little, see somebody on the street, Mom, give me $5. You know, I ain't have my own money. Mom, give me $5 so I can get this person.
Right.
You know, God was always speaking to me, but I just didn't know it was Him. But when He told me to do that, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. No.
Not you.
Because I just put my rent money away. I'm like,
she doing that little TikTok.
I'm like, I'm not gonna do it. No. And then you said the price that you needed, and the price that you needed was the price that God told me.
Yep.
I said, really, God?
Yep.
Are you for real? I was like, I have to be obedient. And that day, it was just like when I remember going home and feeling like so, like literally sitting on the couch and like just so amazed. Even though I just gave like half of my rent money away, I was just amazed at what God did and what God was telling me and me being obedient.
Yep.
So that's how this encounter started.
Yeah.
And then after that, she gonna say, "Can you be my mentor, huh?"
Y'all, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I asked her to be my mentor the whole time. That's not even what God had planned.
No, He sure didn't. He sure didn't.
We didn't talk for like 5 or 6 months. For real.
Yeah.
Like we would talk here and there. But 6 months, like we didn't talk consistently for 6 months. Like it was like
yeah, I think for the first like couple days or couple weeks or something, I was sending encouraged words.
Yep.
But I'm like,
that's about it. So on her end, that's how her experience went, right? On my end, I had just got out of a homosexual relationship, you know, kind of giving God my yes and letting go. Not fully yet, but being obedient to what He was calling me. If you want to know a little bit more about that, you can go back to episode 1. Episode 1 talks about it a little bit more in depth, but to make it short and sweet, I was just at a point where like, all right, Lord, you know, I'm worried financially, I'm worried emotionally, I'm worried spiritually, I'm like worrying, anxiety, and depressed and sad, and you know, thinking about all these hurtful things this person said to me, and just like, you know, I really needed the comfort or whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, Lord, I need to know, like, please tell me. Like, am I really supposed to let this go? And that was on April 20th. On April 21st was when the day we met officially.
Yeah.
She literally walked in. We was already sitting down. She walked in, and the way she was like moving, it was more so like it was like an angel. Like God was being. It was a very angelic moment for me. She sat down and she kept looking over her shoulder, and me in my head, I'm just like, all right, I'm ready to go home. You know, I really need to cry, and I don't want to cry here because I don't want nobody asking me what was wrong.
I'm like, what's wrong with her? She got an attitude problem. Like y'all looking at you, and I'm like, I
was just like sitting there. I was really in my head. I really wasn't listening for real. I was just, you know, worried. She kept looking over her shoulder, and I told my mama, I texted my mom, and I remember, I'm like, Mama, why does she keep looking at me? And she was like, maybe she feels something, or maybe she just recognized your face. I don't know. Just smile, you know, smile back. If she smiles, smile back. If she turned around, just smile.
That's funny.
She turned around and did one of those little. After her third time turning around, she did one of them little. I was like, you know, like, like, okay, whatever, you know, please stop looking at me, focus on, you know, what's going on. Then, like she said, time went past, Apostle got up and was just like, if anybody in the house has anything or needs to say anything, blah, 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 blah. She got up, and I kid you not, it was only God, because this girl was looking dead at me. I'm talking about when she went up, from the time she went up there to the time she sat down, just staring.
And I didn't realize that. Like looking back at it, I was staring at you.
A little too much.
But I feel like that was just God. But
yeah,
like,
it was.
Cause I don't look at people like I try to, for real. I don't, the eye contact thing, it kind of, so for me to be staring at you.
Yeah. So at this point, when she sat down, everything she said, don't remember all of it. But the letting go, like she kept repeating it. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Give it to God and let it go. Let it go. I'm talking about let it go. She probably said it so many times that she could be Elsa from Frozen. Okay. That's how many times she said it. That's I promise you. That's how many times she said it so much, and it resonated with me to the point where, like, I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm about to cry. I said I don't want to cry here, and at that moment, I knew the Lord was speaking to me. I just asked Him to reveal Himself to me. If I really need to let it go, you need to tell me. Like, you need to really tell me, and that's why she sounded like Elsa, because He was really telling me, right? Yeah. I'm crying. Tears running down my eye. I'm like, just wiping away. I don't want nobody to ask me. I don't want to go into the depths, right? At the end of the service, we chat. Her mom actually got back up and shared her testimony. And I'm like, are you serious?
Right. She telling my business like that.
Don't do her.
Dang.
Remember, God needed to do something.
I just playing.
It ain't your business when God got to do something.
I mean, she was
all up in the Kool-Aid and knew what flavor it was.
Right.
Okay? But she was just like, my daughters, they've experienced this, going in, right? I'm like, me too. The whole time she's talking, I'm like, me too. Like, in my head, that's how I felt. Like, yes, somebody finally, And after that, I'm like, wow, how did you overcome that? Because I'm still, I'm really fresh out of a relationship, and like, I'm just like, how do you break off of that homosexual spirit? Like, how did that, like, And she was just like, only God, really. Like, literally. If it wasn't for God pulling me, He had to pull me. Literally. I said, yeah, I got pulled too, but like, I don't know, how did you trust? And it just, she only could say, only God.
Only God. Because that's what I be thinking about this to this day, and I don't want to get emotional, but like, I really be thinking about this to this day. How did I get out that situation? And only God. If it wasn't for Him, and I know a lot of people say this, but literally, if it wasn't for Him, I don't know where I would be. I do not know where I would be. No. Only God.
So from that day forth, I was talking to her. I'm like, this is the first time I've experienced any, lateness or da-da-da-da-da. And mind you, a few months before this, her mom was just telling me about how she was like, yeah, you need to meet my baby, my youngest baby. She got this viral video on TikTok about sharing her testimony and trusting God. And I'm like, at first I'm like, okay, lady. She's like, you just act like her so much and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, lady, I don't even know this person, and you're telling me, like, please stop comparing, please.
Right.
So at that point, I was just like, okay, because I was in a phase of like not showing emotion and being very nonchalant and not being free to be vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I couldn't even say like, okay, I really don't want to know about your daughter because I'm not looking for a friendship. I'm not looking to connect with anybody. I'm not looking for that. Fast forward back to April 21st, 2024. In that moment, I expressed to her, like, I was remembering a lie. I'm like, your mom told me about your video, and I so happened to come across it prior to today. And I'm like, wow, I've never been able, like, I'm such a responsible young adult. When I tell you, a lot of 21-year-olds don't even have the mindset of like being on time with things, being responsible with your money. And even when you have, like, if you have little to nothing, you're still responsible and being mindful. I've never been late on a payment. And the one time I was late was it one day I experienced her. And I told her about my car note, and she was like, oh no, I've been in that place. She was like, what's your cash app? I'm like, no, please no, because I don't like anybody doing anything. I don't want you to throw it in my face, none of that. I'm like, no, please no, please no. She was like, no, God just told me to do it, so I have to be obedient. Girl, I didn't know what she was saying. She was like, and please do not send it back. I don't want it back. I'm just being obedient. Do you know, God literally confirmed Himself through her that whole day, the whole service. I'm talking about, and it's deeper than the money. It's deeper than blessing somebody. Yeah. It's the fact that immediately, without a question, you did what God told you to do. Yeah. Your obedience to someone.
I mean, there's a little question in there, but
yeah, you did just say that, though, right?
There's a little
bit. But her obedience to even, quickly thinking with a little bit of hesitation, but still doing it, right? Yeah. she don't know how she set me back on track. I promise y'all. I was just like, I don't know what I want. I don't want my car to like being so responsible. That's the thing. I was like, I don't want anything taken away from me.
Yeah, and I feel like that's another thing that I didn't even realize. Like when you was just talking about, you know, you being young and being so responsible at the same time. From 16, I've had to work for every single thing that I have. And so I feel like that's another thing that we have in common. We have always worked for what we have, regardless of what it is. We've worked for it and worked our butts off for it.
Yep.
And I feel like not only are we mature for our age, but now it's like, dang, we're spiritually mature too.
Yeah,
and that's just like a spring on
side. It is. And moral of the story, when I did ask her to be my mentor, it wasn't God's plan. It wasn't God's plan for her to mentor. It was us growing together and creating a friendship so tight knitted, which we didn't even see. I promise you, we didn't even see. So moving forward from that day, how has like God impacted you with the friendship side? Like even looking fast forward to now, like how has that from the time we met and to now, how has God favored you, and like what was your faith process with friendships from that point?
So for me, like, I mean, you, of course, you already know, but like friendship trauma was big for me. So allowing her in was hard. It was very hard. Like there was, yes, that day happened, and we was texting back and forth for maybe a little bit after that. But after that, I'm like, I'm not about to open myself up to get hurt again. I'm not gonna do it. And even when you asked me to be like your mentor or whatever, it was a time a little bit after that where you was encouraging me and you know doing all of this. I'm like, nah, this not supposed to be like this. We're not supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be mentoring you. We in this together now. Like I'm like, nah, that mentor stuff out the window. Yeah. So I think that's what it was just like for me to. I think that's when I was like, wow, to have somebody that I can talk to God about. People like overlook that, but like to really have a genuine conversation about God, it's what is the word? It's
mind blowing.
Not mind blowing, but not overlooked, but
not thought about.
I can't think of the word.
We're not gonna play words
right
now.
Yeah, but it's forget it.
If you get it, you get it.
You
don't,
right.
I'm sorry.
Right. But yeah, to have that genuine relationship with somebody, again, a Christ centered, not even a Christ centered, our foundation is God.
And that's a whole nother we don't get there.
Yeah. So I think it's just blessed me to have somebody where I can genuinely talk about God, regardless of how I'm feeling. And even if I, feel a little bit like how I did in the past.
Yeah.
When we talked, it was like, nope, you're here. You're not there anymore. You're here. So I think just that you was almost like a reminder that you're not that type. You're not that person anymore.
I definitely have been. So if y'all don't know, well, of course y'all don't know yet, but her and I, we are similar in a lot of ways. Our birthdays are 2 days apart. Hers is the 8th, mine is the 10th of July. Our mom, well, her mom confuses her and I all the time. We don't look alike. We don't act, well, we act alike, but we don't look alike. But it's just always a,
I thought that was
I thought that was my baby. I mean, you my baby too, but my baby.
Who was that? Koya. That was Koya. That was not me.
When our parents are around and when we're around each other, like in August. So August of last year, I went to her house and we had just had a chill day or whatever. And I didn't know she was coming, and she didn't know I was there. So when she pulled up, we were like, ah! Right. Hey! But that day kind of showed a lot, especially with the connections with our parents, her sister and I, her sister and my mom, me and Mama Donna, you and my mom. Like even to this day, her and my mom's relationship, like I'm in the room and they talking. Like ain't nobody. It's the friendships that matter, and a lot of things that we've learned so far, to be honest, we've both had friendship trauma. We've both said and experienced the same things.
Yep.
We've both told each other that we're not doing this. even even a past uh, moment of learning. I'm not even gonna call it a situation, a moment of learning.
That's exactly
We had to realize that because our friendship is literally biblical and is standing on the principles of Christ and a godly friendship, some things cannot happen and some things do happen to teach us about friendship and about so a lot of things we've experienced. It's just been a great moment. So this episode is not just only about faith and favor, it's about the 3 F's: faith, favor, and friendship. You cannot have a friendship. Now, I'm not saying you cannot have a friendship that is not rooted in Christ. You can. Yeah. There's different ways God can use that, right? But to have a godly friendship and to be founded on principles of the word is just so mind blowing. And to me, we're gonna go deep dive in that. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more. You're gonna hear a little bit of glimpse of like our friendship and our relationship, how we got this close, how we're even this close, and